All right, so let's play a little game. So if you're going through like a debate club or something like that, one of the things that you'll have to do is you have to be like, okay, here's a side, argue or debate for this side, regardless of how you believe it. So we're gonna play kind of a little game here. We're gonna challenge a belief, and I want you guys to take the side of that normally you wouldn't take. That normally your whole life you've been brought up to. This is counter to what you've been taught your whole life. So let's play this little game. Our entire lives, we've been told by our government, the same guys from the Epstein files, we've been told that those guys love us and would never do anything to hurt us or anything like that. And so institutions like the FDA are here to protect the people and to punish the bad pharmaceutical companies if they do something illegal. And they're the greatest thing that we have to support and to protect us. So that's the narrative we've been taught. That's the narrative that we've been brought up with. That's what the medical system teaches. Well, just for fun, let's take the opposite. Let's take the other side of this. So the other side of the debate. Again, mental exercise, not anything else, entertainment purposes type of thing. Let's take the argument that the FDA's job is to make us worse, make us sicker, so that we buy more drugs. Kind of the idea that maybe the FDA's whole actual purpose is to increase pharmaceutical profit. I know it's a crazy thing, but it's just kind of fun to do every once in a while. Kind of take the other side of the argument. Let's take a look at it and be like, just on the drug side first, we've known opium was addictive and deadly since like the early 1800s, but the FDA told us that opium and opioids are no longer addictive. They're not going to kill you if you buy them from us. And that took 20 years for them to be like, oh, you know what? Shocker, opium is actually addictive. Or the fact that they knew since the 60s that psychedelics would break addictions 85% of the time, but theirs are still illegal. Or that, there's been no research ever showing that hormone therapy causes cancer, and yes, that has been illegal in black box for a long time. They knew that they made the COVID virus, but they told us it came from a bat. They knew the masks wouldn't help, but they told us they would. They knew the COVID vaccine was actually quite deadly, but they gave it to us anyway. They're still telling us that the COVID vaccine is safe and effective. On the drug side, there's some obvious stuff that we can argue that, they're trying to hurt us. But the food side, the foods are the F from FDA. They're the primary thing. It's what starts, that's not DFA. It's not the drug and food. It's the food and drug. Look at the foods. Look at glyphosate. Glyphosate's banned in almost every other country because it's so unbelievably toxic. It tears up your gut, gives you celiac, gives you all sorts of autoimmune diseases. It's a horrible, terrible thing. What did our government just do? They made it strategic. You can't get rid of it. Not only that, but the FDA and our government's trying to be like, hey, you know how if vaccines hurt people, like you can't sue the vaccine manufacturer for liability? They're doing the same thing with these chemicals. So glyphosate and atrazine, these things that we know for a fact are causing cancer, that are causing celiac, that are causing all sorts of long-term immune dysfunction issues. Every other country's banned them and made them illegal. We're trying to give those companies immunity so that you can't sue them when you find out that they created a problem. So that's what's going on. We just bought a gigantic amount of glyphosate because our country has decided that it's impossible to farm without glyphosate. Look at all the dyes that are in our foods. Look at the food pyramid that we had set up until RFK just changed it. We've known these things are wrong for a very long time. We've known the amount of cholesterol in your blood isn't directly tied to heart attacks, but it's still statin drugs. So, so try to take that idea, and be like, okay, if I was going to make the argument that the FDA's job really and truly is to sicken and poison American citizens so they have to buy more drugs, how easy of an argument would that be? So just go ahead and like put that in your head and be like, okay, I'm going to change the narrative, and just for fun, little brain game, I'm going to try to argue on the side that the FDA is trying to hurt us, is trying to make us sick, is trying to, create more profit for the pharmaceutical companies. Run that through your head just a little bit. Think about all the foods. Think about all the, all the processing, all the trash that's in our food, water, and air. Think about that for just a minute and kind of run that through and see if that, it's just a fun game. If it's easier to make the argument that they are here to hurt us than they are here to protect us. Run that through and just kind of see how that plays. I say this stuff a lot, and I don't know if people have, gotten in there and just kind of started thinking about it because it's real important. It's like, look how hard it is to find pure organic food that doesn't have stuff sprayed on it. Like you have to go through and be like, you got to really read the labels and be like, oh, they changed this toxic chemical to be called, they changed MSG to natural flavoring. Okay, so now I got to look for that. And what's this appeal thing that Bill Gates just came out with? The guy who said he wanted to use vaccines to reduce the population of the planet by 15%. In his 2010 TED Talk, check that one out. Then he made a vaccine that killed a bunch of people. Crazy. He made an appeal. It's just this coating that goes on vegetables that is very questionable. So check that one out. It's called Appeal. Look at how some of these things that are getting through, the whole like cricket meal, like they're going to start hiding cricket protein in people's foods without telling them. These type of things. Like just go through and look at this and kind of see for yourself, until kind of come up with it. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe you're like, no. Like there's only 2 or 3 things that make it look like that. And those are obvious accidents that, happened for like 6 or 7 months and the FDA stopped it. Go through and play this little game, because I think it's important to start to figure out, where exactly our information is coming from, where exactly the motives that the people who are giving us this information is coming from. I keep talking about how the NIH, the CDC, the FDA, the WHO, those guys, the elite group who are running everything, who are making all the decisions, the same type of people that we found in the Epstein list type of guys, those guys are actually kind of distorting healthcare and they're making it more toxic. And it's not the doctor's fault. It's the people who are teaching them. It's the very, very top giving all this information. The doctors are just running their programs. And that's why we have such horrible issues and why we have such terrible healthcare in this country, even though we spend way more on it than anybody else and way more than we ever have before. Perhaps, maybe the FDA and the CDC and the NIH and those guys at the very top, the elite leaders, maybe that's more of a problem than we think. So just run this little game for yourself. Try to come up with some stuff. Drop the stuff in the comments. If you guys know stuff, if you guys have read stuff, put it in the comments. There's a lot of people who haven't read this stuff. This is something I live in, and so like a lot of this stuff's normal for me, and I've been seeing forever. And when I talk to people about it, they're like, I've never heard that. And they're like, well, here's all the information. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So, look at glyphosate. Look at what it does to the body. Look at atrazine. Look at what that does to the body. Look at these dyes. Look at all these artificial colors and all these different things and what they do to the body chemically, and how horrible they are. High fructose corn syrup. All the things that we're putting in our food that we're being told is completely safe and never hurt anybody ever. We've heard that routine before. So take a look at it and try to play this little game and see how it goes and see if it changes the way that you maybe look at how our elite leaders and how our ruling class might be maybe not 100% honest with you as far as healthcare goes. So take a look at that, think about that, and then drop anything in the comments, because I'd like to talk to you guys about this one. This one's kind of fun. But anyway, you guys have a fantastic day, and talk to you then. Thanks for your time.